Greetings, fellow airsoft nerds. I'm James, your Milsim Day OIC. We're going to talk about Quest for Avalon. I talked about this a little bit on the rules brief for April's Milsim Day. This will debut May's Milsim Day. If you want to check out what those dates are, you need to go to the Facebook or the Instagram or the Discord. This is Quest for Avalon, so this is kind of a collab pair-up partnership, kind of cool buddy project between myself and Overwatch Tactics, these guys. If you like this game, you really need to check out what Overwatch Tactics is doing, specifically for Conquest of Avalon, which is usually about mid-November or so in Waxahachie, Texas, at an actual Renaissance Festival fairground. I've done some videos on that. If you just do a simple search for Conquest of Avalon, those YouTube videos should pop up, but it's really cool. This will only be on Milsim days, because I'm not going to lie, I don't think anyone that doesn't come to Milsim Day is going to really understand the rules, and I don't think they're going to enjoy it. I think Milsim Day is the perfect time for this particular game type, because it's hardcore LARP sim, if I'm being real. This isn't even Milsim, really. This is just LARP sim. So this is me getting really, really nerdy. The main objective is to gain as many points as possible by completing quests for 30 to 45 minutes. Again, the first time we debut this in May, it's going to be a 30-minute game. So you have 30 minutes to gain as many points as possible before time runs out. Now, how you do that is where this gets kind of crazy. Before each game, I will do a specific rules briefing for how this particular game is played. Then after that, I will give Sigma 6 and Screaming Eagles about 5-minute prep time, admin time, to figure out their positions, figure out their task org, and kind of get their game plan going. I imagine that because this is new, and this is probably something that none of these players have done before, this first one's probably going to be rough, if I'm being real. But as we progress, so this will happen every Milsim Day I want to play this game. That way, as we progress and, 3, 4, 5, 6 months from now, when new players show up and they don't know what Quest for Avalon is, we've had enough guys that have played this game enough that they could go, oh, just stick with me, I'll show you what to do, you can be in my platoon. In this game, there are roles. It's not just a free-for-all like literally every other game type. There is a commander. If you read right in here, the commander is in charge of everyone within their faction. They receive missions and delegate those missions to their platoon leaders and their XOs. Now, each commander will get a staff member that acts kind of like as a liaison. So that staff member that is assigned to them will assign them specialty tasks, and I'm calling them quests. They'll give them missions, and they have to accomplish those missions within a time frame to get a bonus. Commanders can also revive players and heal medics. I will go over that shortly. XO's the same thing. It's the executive officer. It's like the number 2 person. It's a second in command. They can also revive a player and heal medics. We're getting crazy. Platoon leaders are going to be obviously in charge of their platoons, and they're going to receive missions from the commander and the XO. I don't believe I haven't written that staff members, that those liaisons go directly to platoon leaders. Right now, it's really just focusing on we give the mission to the commander, and the commander takes it and disseminates it down from there, which is kind of how this actually works. Platoon leaders can also heal medics, and within the platoons, you can assign squads and teams if you want, but squad leaders and team leaders don't have any specialty skills. You would just, if I'm a platoon leader and I have 10 folks, I'm going to want squad and team leaders so I can just organize my resources better. Instead of just yelling at, 10 players to go do something, well, I can break that down into maybe squads of 5 and then maybe like teams of 2 within that squads of 5. That makes sense? So for organizational purposes, a platoon leader can break it down into squad and team leaders, but those squad team leaders don't have like a function other than organization. Does that make sense? Medics can heal all wounds by all their team members with any bandage, can only use pistols. You're only going to get 1 per platoon, can only be healed by other medics or platoon leaders or higher. So a platoon leader, an XO, and a commander can heal a medic. That's fine. The medic doesn't always have to come back to spawn or find the commander and the XO. Also, since medics can heal other medics, the first platoon medic can heal the second platoon. So if you have like a first and second platoon together running like a combined platoon mission, and one of the medics go down, and both those, for whatever reason, both the platoon leaders are down, well, that one standing medic from one of those platoons can heal the platoon medic and the platoon leaders as well. Soldiers is pretty much everyone else. So if you're not a medic or a platoon leader, if you don't have any of those specialty roles I just talked about, you can use any weapon type that's authorized for Milsim Day. Remember, you can have one LMG or one machine gun per platoon. So those positions that I just talked about, the commander, the XO, platoon leaders, and medics, that is decided upon by the faction itself. So kind of like similar to when we play like a medic or advanced medic, how the team decides who that medic is. The same thing for Quest for Avalon. The team, the faction, everyone within Sigma 6 and everyone within Screaming Eagles would have to come together and go, okay, who wants to be commander? Okay, have you done any commanding before? Oh, you have. Oh, you've done like commander roles and stuff at like American Milsim. Okay, you're the commander. Who wants to be XO? Who wants to be a medic? Who wants to be a platoon leader? That's kind of how you would decide that. All players get up to 2 bandages and 1 training tourniquet. If you don't have like those 3-inch wide ace bandages, which is kind of what most Milsim events require anyway, you can use our armbands, our green and orange armbands. That's why we sell them on Milsim Day as bandages, and then you can just use them as armbands the next day. That's totally fine. You can also use up to 1 training tourniquet. We specifically sell and recommend Milsim West tourniquets because, again, that item is recognized throughout pretty much, off the top of my head, every Milsim production company. Obviously, DFE and Milsim West are going to do it. Conquest of Avalon, Overwatch Tactics, you can use them there. I believe AMS, you can also use them in AMS events. So Milsim West tourniquets are pretty much, it's industry standard for events. Bandages are used to treat wounds for the appendages. So if you get shot in the arm or in the leg, you have to use a bandage. If you get shot in the head or in the chest, you have to use a tourniquet. When a player runs out of bandages or tourniquets, they must return to the base and be revived. Remember how we were talking about earlier that only the XO and the commander can revive players. We're going to talk about that in a second again, further down the road. Bleed out rule is 30 seconds, so after 30 seconds pass without being treated by a medic, that player can walk back to the respawn and be revived by either the XO or the commander. Once the game starts, a player may leave the field, but they're not allowed to return. So like if you just decide that this is not something you want to do and you just want to go sit, you can leave all you want. But if you run out of BBs or if you forget something and you walk off the field, we're going to have a staff member there to prevent you from coming back on. I know where you're going with this. Now hang on. Also, I literally just added this. You're going to be limited to 7 high or mid cap magazines. Remember, you can't have a drum magazine for Milsim Day anyway, unless you have like a machine gun or something. BBs. Hang on, my guy. Revives will cost 1 gold coin that the commander or the XO will have to pay to that assigned staff member I talked about earlier. So you go through, all your bandages or you bleed out or whatever. You walk back to base, you find me, I'm the commander. I can pay that gold coin to that assigned staff member, and then you get magically revived, which means you can reset all your bandages, go out and keep playing, and so on and so forth. Remember earlier I was talking about that the game objective is to score the most amount of points possible by the end of the game. Here's how we do that: by completing quests. So now some you may be assigned, some they're just sort of like a standing quest. For instance, pay the boatman. Each gold coin you still have at the end of the game will be worth 1 point. So if you have this kid that keeps getting revived over and over again, you can have him sit and spawn for a little while and go, hey man, you're going to take a 5-minute break because I'm not paying for you to get revived, so you could just go do something reckless because you don't want to be a part of your platoon, team, or squad. Control. Raise the banner! Each flag raised for a faction will be worth 10 points by the end of the game. Not halfway through, you don't get points assigned in the middle. No. Once we blow the whistle, we count how many Sigma 6 and count how many Screaming Eagle flags are raised, and that's how points are assigned. Also, there's going to be a loot box at the base of each domination pole. Loot box? What's a loot box? Loot box are various crates with BBs, speed loaders, coins, and explosives needed to destroy the enemy artillery. Combinations of those crates can only be obtained by being the first one to raise your banner in a building and returning that loot box to your commander or XO. So it behooves the commander to break up all your folks by either platoon or squad, get as many of those folks in the domination points as you can, raise the flag, and bring back that loot box to your commander or XO so they can unlock it. The combination locks will be kept by the staff members. Those staff members will then look up whatever number loot box that is and give them the combination, and then the commander or the XO opens it and divvies out the goodies. There will also be 3 locked loot boxes at each base. Here's another tricky part. Once the loot box is unlocked, its contents are seizable by any player on the field. We'll talk about the search rule in a second. Pop the pop guns. Destroy each of the artillery guns for a combination that opens a base loot box. But if one of your guns is destroyed, you are taxed 20 gold coins and the other team gets 20 gold coins. We're looking at having a total of 6 of these on the field, 3 per side, and they'll be lined up kind of right next to each other. You shouldn't have to like search throughout the map. They'll pretty much be fairly close to each other, but we're probably going to start with 1 on each side because Daniel is still working on physically making these things, so it could take a little while. For the May game, we're expecting to have at least 1 artillery gun per side. They're not going to be that big. The way you pop the pop guns is we have specific game prop explosives. You have to pull the pin, drop them down the gun tube, and then they're going to pop off with they're sound grenades. So you just pull the pin, drop them in. However, you can't use your own. So if you have like Thunder Bees and stuff, that's not going to count. You have to use our game prop explosive devices. Otherwise, what's the purpose of having them in the first place? Everything is a quest. There's sub-quests, there's reasons that you have to do certain things. Everything has to have an objective. Obedience rewarded. Staff members will assign you a specific task and a time limit for which you have to complete that task in. If you complete that task, you'll receive a normal award for task completion, plus a bonus of BB's coins or a combination to a base loot box. A pocket picked is a treasure gained. If the commander, XO, or platoon leader are killed, they may be searched by an opposing player within 1 arm's length away and just saying search within that distance. The individual who has been searched must surrender all game items such as coins, box combinations, and other items that were captured in a loot box. So let's say my platoon goes forward, we secure a domination point, and I get that loot box and I'm taking it back to my commander or my XO. If my platoon gets wiped out and I get hit and I have that loot box, well, guess what? Someone from the opposing faction can come up to me within an arm's length, declare searched, and I have to surrender that loot box. So you can let other players and other teams do all the work and then just come in and ambush them and take the goods. It's like pirates. This is going to be in the what we call the saloon. Now, the saloon is in the middle of the field. If you're on the near side, it is on the right side of the field. If you're on the far side, it's on the left side of the field. I am going to bring in an NPC. So this is a person that's not playing for either team or faction. I want to stay away from using staff members. Right now, I'm very excited for who I've picked for this. Any player can buy items with coins. The banker can raise or lower the price, the base price, by 10 coins maximum whenever they feel like it. Gun explosives will be a base price of 10 coins. 1,000 BBs will be a base price of 5, and a random loot box combination will be 20 points. So earlier, you're like, oh no, it's 30 minutes and I can't go off the field. Wah. Yeah, nerd alert. You have to stay on the field and secure all the objectives, because as you secure objectives, you're also getting coins and actual BBs and some of those cheaper speed loaders. So if you start to run low on BBs, you can either go to your platoon leader, your commander, or your XO for a resupply because you would have already captured that stuff. Does that make sense? Yeah. I took that rule straight up from Milsim West because depending on what events you go to, certain events will not let you, like Milsim West, for instance. Once you're on the field, you're on the field. and you do not use your own BBs. You can only use event supplied BBs that are divvied out by the commander. Some events you can go to your car and just go back to be getting all your stuff and doing all that. No. Not at Quest for Avalon. Here's something that I'm kind of giddy about. It's the Riddle box. At some point, you might be tasked to find and solve the Riddle box. And if you can solve that Riddle box, you're going to get, some sort of reward. Here's what the Riddle box looks like. That's it. If you've got any specific questions, or if I did a poor job of explaining anything, let me know in the comments. I would prefer everything stay in the comments. Don't DM me anything, any questions. Please keep it in the comments. That way other people can see kind of what's going on as well. I hope this is exciting for you. I will see you in May or in future Milsim days.